Hello again, this is my Module 3 for Advocating for Technological Equity. So just a review of all of the resources provided. They all spoke to a fact of having equity in technology, that it's more than just putting a device in students' hands, that we sometimes do that. We just give students a device and assume they know how to use it, but we really need to focus on student individual needs and understand that they may not have the knowledge that we think they do. So many of the sources read to the need for a district to have a digital equity and inclusion plan in place. And there were 5 main areas suggested by Magnum 2022. The first one was connectivity, and that means that students need to have internet access both in and outside of school. And so just thinking back to when COVID started, we came to the realization that not all students had the access we thought they did. In fact, one of the sources stated that 463 million students lacked access during the pandemic. And so I also kind of look back to our district and the surrounding or neighboring districts. We were able to provide one-to-one technology support and access along with internet access to our students during the remote learning period when one of our neighboring districts could not do that. And so I just think we were at a little bit of an advantage, but we have also seen the gaps in learning through state assessments and other things of how that digital equity access is not, when it's not possible for all students, that we gain those bigger gaps. The second piece was with hardware. And so districts need to just have a plan in place to manage and maintain their devices. It doesn't make sense to adopt curriculum or adopt technology, purchase technology, and then not be able to update them or secure licensing or anything like that. With that, there was a piece of an RCE evaluation tool where districts can actually go on and be able to track the progress of their devices being used, what's useful, what's not, programs, same thing, and then be able to improve programs or improve the type of devices that we have through a process. The third piece was focused on teaching and learning, and so with that comes professional development. That's something that must be in place and ongoing, and teachers will face a further burden if we don't have regular PD offered, and then there will not be that shared responsibility in learning if we don't provide that support not only to staff but also to students moving forward. I did like the analogy of comparing technology use to driving a car. It stated that, even if you can drive a car but you don't have a road in front of you, you can't go anywhere. So it's the same fact with technology. Even if you provide students or staff with devices but you don't train them how to use them, then they're not going to be effective. The next piece was digital citizenship. And I believe that was really focused on that shared responsibility that all involved in technology use need to understand what the moral and ethic uses of technology are and how to sustain them or support them. And there were PD courses available not only for staff and students, but also for parents in order to keep everyone on the same page as far as what those appropriate uses are. With tech support, that would include the IT director of a school, and they're the ones that can address any hiccups that arise during the use of technology. Students can't effectively learn, teachers can't effectively teach if their technology isn't working, but yet you have the expectation that they use technology. So I believe that it's just important, I guess, to when we do state testing and we have other classes that are just getting on and watching videos at the same time, it bogs down our internet. So now we have an open communication where we share out a calendar of when state testing is taking place, and the other staff is very responsive in not having their students be online. And so that just makes things more seamless and we don't have as many or run into as many issues with that. I also believe that tech support can apply to security to make sure that learning is safe while students are online. And so we use a system called GoGuardian, And what that does is that allows staff to be able to pull up all students' screens while in their classroom and monitor their use. So if we do want to involve more technology in learning, then we can just be able to monitor and make sure that safe practices are being taken. Many of these areas all dealt with issues that directly relate to the budgeting process. And so we just need to have the understanding that there needs to be a regular tech investment where we not only purchase the initial devices, but we also focus on those future costs related to any updates, licensing, and training that need to take place. So just an analysis of within my own district, are the curriculums technologically equitable? Well, I would say most of them are, because they have a digital component that allows for 3 different levels of learning. Teachers do still have to supplement, though, based on intervention groups, because we do have students. We have a high population of special education students. And so we do use technology to help address their needs. But we may have a student in a 4th grade classroom that's learning math at a 1st grade level. And so we need that supplemental support to make sure that we still have that equity going on. We use programs such as Lexia for reading and Khan Academy for math and grammar. And what I like about those programs is they allow each student to take an individual assessment at the beginning, and it places them at the level that they are currently able to do. And then it builds from there. So each student is working independently in those programs, and they can gain their own levels of success. And we don't base it on them reaching a particular level all the time. We look for important gains, and that actually helps kind of bridge those gaps that we find in student learning. We also use FastBridge, and that identifies the level of where students are at in both math and ELA, and then it allows us to adjust moving forward as far as what our needs are. And then we do provide students with the one-to-one devices, which is still important for that equitable piece. Is the curriculum evidence-based? We do use edreports.org to check out our curriculum to make sure if it aligns with our state standards. We have found out in the past that the last elementary ELA curriculum we adopted does not align to the state standards. So our teachers have had to supplement a lot. And so looking forward, I am looking for curriculum that does meet our state standards, and also look to the state for their recommendations and try to provide the teachers with the best one that they can find most beneficial to their class. Is our curriculum technology rich? I say some is and some is not. I think the access or availability is there, but it really just comes down to the staff and if they're comfortable with it. We do have a lot of staff that kind of grew up in that age where technology was not part of education, and so they're just really resistant to involving technology with how they instruct. And so that's just something that I'm just going to have to accommodate for, or try to find ways to work around. Is the curriculum supportive of academic and non-academic activities? Yes, I believe that our curriculum is. I think a lot of our curriculum has a variety of STEM tasks within it, along with connections to social emotional learning. So it involves both academic and non-academic. We use Second Step and Lion's Quest as our 2 different levels of social emotional learning, and they both have digital components along with parent components. So it gets that parent piece involved. And then our elementary does do a lot of learning games that relate to problem solving, not just within academics, but also within life. And I think that's very beneficial to our students. Are the curriculums supportive of every student and adult? So I feel like we're still in the process at the elementary level, because we're still lacking some of the the supportive curriculum that aligns with our state. But I believe we are on track to be able to achieve the support for every student and adult. Our teachers do supplement well. They understand our students' needs, and they're able to adjust for that. I do think maybe the gap, though, is where our support for parents is. Nunu gave a suggestion about resource guides for parents, And I think that's a great idea as far as giving them ideas of apps that we use in the classroom and kind of showing parents where they can go to get support to help their students in learning. So with addressing technological inequity in the curriculum in my district, first off, I believe there needs to be more consistent use of technology throughout my district. We need to continue to research high quality programs and also allow for differentiation to take place outside of the classroom, such as within those intervention groups or during our seminar times where students can learn the curriculum outside of the regular classroom. I also believe that with technological equity as far as student success and a system of support goes, that we need ongoing professional development for all staff and schedule a rotation as far as what level of professional development we need in certain areas. The IT director needs to be able to provide that support for our staff and also have that open communication with administration as far as what needs there are and how to address those. We do a staff needs assessment at least once a year and just keeping that going so we understand the needs. And then making sure as a leader that I am a visionary planner, that I empower leaders within my district, and I am connected as far as how to be able to use the technology myself. And I think that will make things more successful. I also believe to design, implement, and evaluate a system of assessments and data collection, that we need to decide when is it appropriate to give digital homework versus project-based learning, and that can keep things more equitable. We need to use more with FastBridge because it allows us to assess students, analyze data, and adjust instruction, and I think we're at the point where we need to work on that adjust instruction part. And then we do have strong staff and student relationships, so just understanding who needs what and how do we get there. In order to design, implement, and evaluate systems of curriculum and instruction. So I believe we need to follow that simple method that Garcia listed, and that addresses those technological inequities district-wide. Keeping up the surveys so we can find out where the greatest needs are, and then using collaboration during our PLC and in-service meetings, and that can really help us get somewhere with our discussions. So how is this assignment relevant to your current learning? Well, I believe the resources prompted me to look at my district's current technology system and identify areas that we can improve on. I also learned more about what digital equity means and that it's more than just providing devices to students and staff. So as a leader, I need to focus on making sure that students and staff are trained properly to use the devices, but that the material that they use is relevant to their success. How has this assignment improved my understanding of content with regards to the COVID-19 pandemic? So after reading the statement from one of the resources that said we're not going back to how things were before COVID, I believe that our training on the use of technology is insufficient within my district. So we need to work more on that, getting everyone comfortable with using technology. But on a positive note, I believe that we provided the device and internet access to all students, keeping them on track during the pandemic time. But I did identify, even within my own household, when you have multiple kids in a home, learning online can be challenging. And so just looking for ways to address that issue. How will this assignment influence the decisions I make as a future leader? Well, I believe it's influenced my thoughts on establishing a PD timeline related to technology and put a priority on limiting technology and learning, because sometimes we get lost in placing kids online more full time, and we really need to look at other ways to instruct still. So I want to find a balance of digital use in my district. Then how will this activity place an emphasis on leading during times of crisis? So I believe having a plan in place of distance learning is necessary now, and COVID made that visible. I also need to find staff that are knowledgeable on technology and encourage them to assist others so that we can just move forward within my district if that type of distance learning takes place. All right, thank you.